Molly reveals that she's into Dave, and Lauren is sitting right there with egg on her face. She's like, not my Dave. Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, Lovey with Nee. I'm your girl Nee, and if you haven't already, do me a huge favor, ring that notification bell. Also subscribe to my channel, and y'all, I'm not gonna waste a lot of time with the intro. We're about to get right into Love is Blind season 8 episodes 1 through 6. Oh no 1 through 3. Cut. Vanessa and Nick are at the headquarters or the quarters or whatever you want to call them, and they're talking to both the guys and the girls, and they say that this is the biggest season yet, and it's because, you know, this is the most couples they've ever had on a Love is Blind cast. And with that being said, I think that just because you have more quantity doesn't mean that directly affects your quality, and that is very evident as we see thus far with this season. We start off with the same old. Vanessa asks, you know, what is it that made you want to come on Love is Blind? And we meet Daniel, who says that he's short. He's a short king. He's 5'8". And I want to go back and say, I kind of assumed that. I mentioned that in my cast reveal that he looked like he was pretty short. And so he says that, you know, hey, being short kind of messed with my confidence a little bit, but I'm here, you know, to find love behind a wall. Our girl Molly said that she is 29 or however old she is. I'm not specifics on the age, but she says that she's never had a boyfriend. And that kind of sent an alarm off to me personally, because how do you go from not being able to commit to a boyfriend to now all of a sudden we're going to commit to a marriage? I don't know, especially in this short time frame. You know, you don't have a lot of time to get to know people, what you like, what you don't like, this, that, and the other. We go in and we talk to Daniel yet again about his height, and I'm already saying that, look, Daniel, I don't want to hear about your height the whole season, okay? We heard it once, we heard it twice, we heard it thrice. You're short, you're concerned, and that's okay. Moving along. So we get to Taylor and Daniel, who are the first date that we see, and they're in the pods, and right off bat they kind of hit it off, in my opinion. He already gets down on one knee. He's like, hey, I'm about to marry you, girl. It was just really like, they were really cute together, kind of just very giggly, very laughy, just having a really good time. They talk about what they see in the future as far as kids and family and just, you know, kind of surface level things. But Daniel also tells us that he has a sister who is blind, and so that this experience kind of gives him a chance to see what life is like in her shoes. And I really think that's pretty cool. I mean, not cool that she's blind, but it's cool that, you know, he's being able to really see the kind of life that his sister has had to live. Not that he gets it 100%, but he kind of gets a little bit of insight on, you know, what life has been like for her. And I also want to say this too, and this is just kind of me making a generalization. A lot of people who have siblings or family members who have disabilities, there's just a certain softness about them, like a humbleness and just a sweetness about them that I feel like they just kind of exude to other people. They're just very caring and very nice, and this is just kind of what we see from Daniel, just right off the bat. Now let me go back and kind of eat my words. I know in the cast reveal I kind of said some stuff about how, because he mentioned how he was he didn't think before he spoke or anything like that. But from what I see from right now, I'm really kind of feeling Daniel, and he seems just really nice and very genuine. And I do like Taylor as well. She seems, she's cute too. So then we get a date with Brittany and Devin, and right off the bat, they start to do their banter. They start clowning around. And I just feel like we as black people, it's in us, not on us. Like, we just have this automatic, like, we're about to joke, we're about to clown around. And I think even with him not knowing what she looked like, he could probably immediately tell that this is a black woman on the other side of this wall. So they're talking about basketball, which, you know, they do have that likeness, and she played D1 ball. He's also played basketball. He's a coach now. She's coached D1 basketball, and so they just have a lot of similarities in the sporting realm, and they're just really vibing it out. We also see Devin go on a date with Virginia, and Virginia kind of gives him a little flack about his age, but she does also mention that, you know, hey, age has nothing to do with maturity, and, you know, I'm okay with your age at this present time. I was completely wrong in my cast reveal about Joey's golden retriever energy, okay? I thought that he was making a reference to like the TikTok trend of just being a really nice and sweet like golden retriever. Joey does come across as very nice. However, He was saying golden retriever energy as in he is just and he is very upbeat, very energetic, just very like, hey, how's it going? And just, honestly a breath of fresh air in my opinion. Joey's on a date with Monica, and though Joey is very energetic and very upbeat, you know what? Monica is the same way, okay? She's matching his energy. He's loud, she's loud, they all loud. They gonna if they make it together, they're just gonna be in a loud house, okay? Now we meet Dave. And I don't like him already. First impressions are everything, and his first impressions suck. I feel like he tries to come across funny, but he's not funny. And his jokes just really come across as more as arrogant, and he just seems like a butthole. He was on a date with Lauren, and when she walks in and tells him her age, he's like, oh, that makes you immediately unattractive. And I'm like, what? I feel like Lauren should have got up and walked out right then. And if she didn't get up and walk out right then, she for sure should have got up and walked out when he made the OnlyFans joke. But nonetheless, she stayed. I feel like even if he does make a mental and emotional connection with someone in the pods, if he's not physically connected to them, I don't think it's going to work. That's his date with Lauren. That's really all I had written about them. Nothing really stood out. But he does go on a date with Molly, and Molly is the young lady who said that she's never had a boyfriend, but if she wanted somebody, she could. And I always kind of like when people say stuff like that, because my question is, then why are you on this show? If you could have it, then you would have it, because obviously it's something you want, or you wouldn't be on this show. Does that make sense? Please drop down in the comments and let me know I'm not crazy. She immediately goes into her talks about being in situationships, and then says that she was in a situationship with a guy, but like couldn't make things work. So there's another thing that seems contradictory to me. Like, what do you mean you couldn't make things work? Did you want to make things work? Because you just told us that if you wanted to, you could. Anyways, despite all that, her and Dave seem to hit it off. So we go back to the women's headquarters, and it's really weird because this season they're actually talking about who they like they're comparing notes. And I don't know if they're just doing this because it's the beginning, and then like towards the end we'll start keeping it a little bit more secretive. But like seeing them talk about who they like and who they didn't like, I was like, okay, y'all letting it all hang out. But kudos to y'all. Now, had it been me, First of all, I don't think I would be on the show. I don't like to say never because it's so definite. I don't like using those definite phrases. So I don't foresee myself being on a show of this sort. However, if I was, I'm not telling nobody nothing. Like, you're not gonna know who I like, okay? It's gonna be a secret to the end. When I come out and I'm like, oh, y'all, I'm engaged, then at that point, y'all say, to who? And then I would tell you. This is love, but it's also a game. So, what are y'all doing? We go into meeting Alex, and Alex talks about how he had been bullied back in the day. He was made fun of so much so that he had to go eat his lunch in the bathroom, y'all. And that's really sad. I was bullied when I was in middle school, a little bit in junior high, and it kind of tailed off when I got into high school. I wasn't bullied to that magnitude. However, I just, my heart really kind of felt for him, and I'm like, man, I remember what it was like to be bullied, and it's just not a fun space to be in. He kept a positive attitude. He said that he overcame. He had a glow up, and now he's getting all the attention from all the women's, okay? He's getting it from left, right, top to bottom, okay? So he goes on a date with Madison, and Madison is telling him her life story, okay? And it is sad. She has some drug addict parents. She talks about some other stuff too, and they seem to bond over the trauma. Madison kind of seemed like she always wanted to one-up him too. It was kind of like he was telling his story, and then she's like, oh, you had to eat lunch in the bathroom? Well, let me tell you about my daddy who OD'd. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is just too much. That would give me cause to pause, but nonetheless, they also seem like they hit it off, so we'll see how it goes in the future. Madison goes on a date with Mason, and I'm going to be 100% honest. I did not watch this date, okay? I was scrolling on TikTok, so I missed all of it. I do know that, and I'm just going to read my notes because from off the dome, I don't have it. It says, is it me, or does he hold his mouth funny when he talks? Drop down in the comments, let me know. Meg and Mason go on a date, and Meg talks a lot. Meg is just, she's full of energy. She reminds me, like, she would be a good trio with Joey and Monica. Like, they all just are just a bucket full of energy. She talks about being from Mars, and I really thought that she was joking. But as we go further along in the conversation, I find out that she is very serious when it comes to extraterrestrial beings. And you know what? I like it. I feel like I like it because you don't have to guess when it comes to her. She's going to tell you what it is and what it ain't and how she's feeling, and what you see is what you get. Dave and Molly. So Dave and Molly are on a date, and Molly tells him about how when she was in school, she went to a Catholic school, and when she was in school, she learned all about exorcisms. And let me just say this. I went to a private Catholic school when I was in elementary school, and I don't know, Miss Polizzi, Miss Hill, Miss Shelton, I don't know if their curriculum was different from her curriculum, but I didn't learn nothing about an exorcism when I was in Catholic school. I want to say the first time I ever heard about an exorcism was when I was like watching the movie The Exorcist, or it may have been when I was watching Supernatural. Either way, it wasn't when I was in school. So they talk about intimacies, and Molly says that the limit doesn't exist when it comes to all that. She says, I'm down for whatever, whenever. And I was like, we listen and we don't judge. Dave is on a date with Lauren. They talk about their family dynamic, and Dave mentions that his sister didn't think that any of the women were good enough for him, and he's bothering me, and I just don't like him. Lauren asked if there was anything she could do to impress his sister, and I don't like that. Why are you trying to impress people? Just be you. And if she likes you, she likes you. And if she doesn't, she doesn't. And you know what? The world is going to still spin on its axis either way. Daniel and Taylor. And Taylor, y'all, is hoarse. She can't talk. She can't walk. She can't stop. No, I'm just wait. But she is hoarse. And so she's talking like, raspy and stuff like that throughout the date. And they mentioned that when they were on other dates with the other people, they were thinking about each other. And it's really giving me Nelly and Kelly dilemma. You know, no matter what I do, all I think about is you. Even when I'm with my boo, you know I'm crazy over you. That's what it was giving. It was giving me a real, very much a dilemma. Daniel seems to be really supportive. Whenever she's talking, he's always like, I'm right there with you. I'm right here with you. And oh my gosh, I just really love how like he phrases that and how he says that. And that is just such a reassuring thing. Even me watching it, I was like, oh my God, he's right there with me too. I think they're really cute. I think they're really cute. And we get about 5 seconds of Brittany and Devin talking about their cooking abilities, and about another 3 seconds of Devin and Virginia talking about her being in a group called Future's Destiny's Child. And then we go to the men's quarters. And that really kind of offends me because, y'all, we just sat through Daniel and Taylor, even though they were really cute, they're catching a stray. But we also sat through Dave. He was annoying. And we also listened to Meg talk about ants. And you only give me a combined total of like 15 to 20 seconds of Devin, Virginia, Devin, and Brittany. I don't know. That's crazy to me. I don't get it. But I'm also not an editor, and I'm also not a producer. So that's just me on the outside looking in. We get to Monica and Joey. He transferred from homeschool to public school, and how that transition was kind of tough for him because he was bullied. He was made fun of. You know, kids will make fun and pick about you about any little thing. So he didn't dress, he didn't walk, he didn't talk like them, and they all found a reason to make fun of him. However, Joey just so happened to be really good at football, and he said that, you know, being a real good football player was what helped him through his high school experience. So he was so good that he was given D1 offers to college. However, he did decide to turn them down. And he decided to turn them down because he did have a sick sister, and he didn't want to be so far away from her. He wanted to be close to home so that he could help his mom take care of his sister. And that just, it warms my heart that he has such a big heart and that he was willing to sacrifice something that could have really, really affected his future to be close by and to help his family. He also mentions that his mom is not great with money. However, he is. He said he's taught himself how to invest. He's taught himself how to, you know, just be financially stable. He has a retirement plan. He has a retirement plan for his mom. I want to say he bought his mom a house because he knew that at some point she was going to need some help. And like I said before, this really does speak volumes about his character. However, I do have concerns. Is he going to have room for a wife, and where would she fit in? All right, so we go on a date with Dave and Lauren, and they are talking about tattoos, and Lauren is like, I'm a rebel, rawr, I'm a bad girl, and all this, and Dave's like, ooh, I didn't know you had that in you, girl, and she's like, yeah, put 'em up, boop, boop, boop. Anyway, so Dave also, so, oh, I'm delirious. This show was not. My cackles is me cackling at myself because I'm silly, not because the show was entertaining. I want to be very, very clear in that. Dave also goes on to mention that he has tattoos, and his tattoos do have meaning. He has tattoos of his mom's handwriting on his body, and he also has his family's address tattooed on his leg. Dave does mention that his mom unfortunately passed, and he discusses his grief and how he's had to overcome that. I do want to ask one thing, though. Does Dave live by the let me criticize so they can like me more mindset? Because he really gives Lauren nothing. He gives her nothing. Like, zilch. But anyway, she likes it, I love it, so we're going to keep on moving on from that. Dave and Molly go on a date, and he immediately asks her about tattoos. The same way he asked Lauren, he went right back to Molly and asked the same thing. I don't know if that's a production thing or if that's just how he operates, but yeah. So he outright tells Molly, like, I like you, but I'm going back in my Rolodex. I'm going back in my think tank. And I don't think he ever told Lauren that he likes her. So, once again, this is what I'm saying. He gives her nothing. So, we'll see if something progresses or grows in the future episodes. Madison asked Lauren if she felt comfortable talking about who she's into. And Lauren, once again, is me. Like I said before, Lauren's like, no, I'm not telling y'all nothing. Lauren's like, no, I don't feel comfortable telling who I'm into. But Molly reveals that she's into Dave. And Lauren is sitting right there with egg on her face. She's like, not mine, Dave. And the episode ends there. So let's keep it rolling and go right into episode number 2. So it opens with Daniel and Taylor. And Taylor reveals that her dad's name is also Daniel, and he is currently battling cancer. And so, even though the outlook for his treatment and his recovery is really good, she just mentions how it's so unfortunate that it took a sickness, an illness for her to really see how much her dad and how much her family means to her. They talk about Taylor's lip tattoo. She has Taco Bell tattooed on her lip, and Daniel's like, I would love to get Taco Bell tattooed on my lip. And she's like, no. Get the restaurant you like. And he's like, okay, Chick-fil-A. All right, so then we meet Sarah and Ben. They go into a banter about their dad's steak. He says, no, my dad makes the best steak. And she says, no, my dad makes the best steak. And then they're like, no, both of our dads make the best steak. And then they go into religion. Ben is Christian. And Sarah says she is not religious, but she was raised Catholic. And she has a little bit of church hurt in her. She says that she has a sister who is gay, and the church pretty much chastised her for her sexuality. She says, how can you love thy neighbor with exception to people who are in the LGBTQ, I hope I said that right, community. So she feels like church people are, a bunch of hypocrites. And so she asked Ben if he would feel comfortable or uncomfortable being around his sister. And he says, no, I know people in that community, and I know people like that. And, it wouldn't bother me one bit. When he says that community and people like that, that's kind of dissociating himself, making it, there's a clear line between him and them. So he may or may not be as comfortable with that as he is trying to portray. But I could be reading into it a little wrong. I could be too deep. I could be going too deep. So he does mention that he goes to church every week, and he would like for his partner to join him in church as well. We are with Lauren, and she talks about how Dave is so validating to her. And I did go to sleep quite a bit watching these shows, and I may have missed it. But y'all, I don't know where, how, when. If somebody can give me a timestamp and let me go back to review it, I will eat these words. But I don't recall a time where Dave gave her validation. She's acting very weird, very suspicious now that she knows that Dave is also dating Molly. She also mentions that she doesn't want to hear about Molly's dates with Dave, and I just find it ironic that we always see Lauren beside Molly. Like, if you don't want to, and I get that. I get not wanting, like, I get logically knowing, like, hey, the person I'm into is dating somebody else. And I understand not wanting to hear about their dates or what's going on within their relationship. So then it's not to affect mine. But if I don't want to hear about it, I don't even want to be around you. Like, I'm just going to keep my distance all together. But somehow she's always snug as a bug on a rug around Molly. And it's a bit odd, isn't it? Anyways, we go on a date with Dave and Lauren, and she is opening up and expressing herself, and honestly, he could care less, okay? He doesn't care. He is not locked in, and he doesn't even remember what they talked about. He does go on to mention that he does like her, and this is from what I remember, okay? From what I remember, this is the first time he's ever said anything like this to Lauren, but I feel like he regrets it almost as soon as he says it, because he almost immediately mentions his sister and how she would be mad at him. So do you like the girl or do you not? And what does your sister have to do with any of this? It's giving weird. So we're on the date with Dave and Molly, and he talks about their natural chemistry, and he mentions that he does have a business, and it is a medical distributing thing. And what else? Like, so are you a drug dealer? His ability to bring his sister into everything is such a talent, and it needs to be studied. Like, it should be studied, because that art form, I've never seen anything like it. Dave goes on to mention that he cheated in his previous relationship, and that is why the relationship ended. And he also said that that's not relevant. And I was like, sir, if there's anything that's not relevant in this whole situation right here, present day, it's your sister. But you cheating is very relevant to the task at hand. Like the greater than, lesser than sign. The open alligator is pointing to you cheating, and the less side, the pointed side, is pointing to your sister. So he tells us about him cheating. He was stupid, and he would never, ever do anything like that again. And Molly's like, you know what? Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. And I am not judging you for cheating, because I, too, was a cleaned up woman. I was a woman who cleaned up all the love, who got all the love that girl left behind. And I thought that we were going to be something more. But pause. Molly, didn't you tell us, but a one episode ago, that if you wanted to, you could? Oh, okay. He also goes on to say, like, if he were to go to Vegas with the boys, that he would just ignore. Like, he would just not entertain it. And that's what's going to keep him from cheating. All right, so Monica and Joey do the cha-cha slide in the pods, okay? Monica mentions that she's right now in between jobs because she does have a sick grandmother, and she is currently helping her family take care of her. And I just want to know, like, are you the full-time caregiver? Because now I have the same questions for you that I had for Joey. Do you have room in your life to be a wife? Because if you're taking care of your grandmother so much so that you can't work, at what point does a husband fit into that equation? They seem very cool, but at this point in time, I really don't see them married. I don't see them in a relationship. They have way too many outside factors. You know, he's taking care of his mom, buying her houses, doing her retirement. She's taking care of her sick grandmother, and I feel like it would be different if they knew each other like 5-6 years ago, and they have 5-6 years in the game, and they're coming together, and now all these trials and tribulations are happening. I feel like they could overcome that. But for us to be new, and to also be older, and to come into a situation like this, to me, it seems like that would be a lot of stress, a lot of strain. If that's even a problem. It could not even be a problem. They could, have that completely under control, and that's just not even a factor in their relationship. Who knows? That's just me. Once again, my eyes on the outside looking in. All right. So then we get an entire minute 30 seconds of Madison and Alex discussing cuddling. Madison and Mason are on a date, and Mason was trying to be slick Rick, okay? He was asking Madison, do you wear the sexy Halloween costume, or are you goofy? Because he's trying to see how she judges it up, okay? He does mention that the movie Her, he says that he feels so comfortable with her, and honestly, I just think it's sexual chemistry. That's all they talk about. That's all they do. They're just, if Monica and Joey could just have a little bit of what they have in their relationship, I could see it, but that's all they discuss. Mason does mention that he likes Madison, but he is connecting better with Meg. So Meg and Mason are on a date. They talk about pet names like baby girl, daddy, sugar lump, all that stuff, and building forts. He does mention many times that she is an AI robot and she is just saying all the right things. And ironically, Meg is the one that mentions the movie Her to him, and he kind of goes up in arms. He's like, oh my God, that is my favorite movie. And she's like, no way, that's my favorite movie too. And they just seem to vibe and just really kind of get excited that the both of them have an interest in this movie, and that a lot of their interests what is that? A lot of their interests seem to align and match. Virginia and Devin are on their date, and Devin mentions that he has dated basketball players in the past, and Virginia tells him that, hey, I normally date, creatives who are self-centered. Devin does mention that he is torn between Virginia and Brittany. So Brittany and Devin are on their date, and Brittany mentions that she didn't tell her dad that she was coming on the show because he's the mouth of the South, y'all, okay? She said that he would tell anybody that would listen that she was coming on the show. Their dads do have the same name, Willie Jr., and it's just kind of funny that both of their dads share the same name. She also mentions that her mom was really concerned about her coming on the show because of editing and how she would be perceived, and she also tells us that her mom sheltered her a whole lot, so much so that she couldn't listen to hip-hop, that the only music her mom played in the house was gospel. Joey and Monica go on their next date and they get engaged, y'all. And I don't know, the proposal to me, just congratulations. We go on a date with Alex and Madison, and they begin to talk about attachment styles. So Madison says that she's avoidant, and he says that he is anxious, and her being avoiding is a trigger from him that could lead to issues in the future. And I agree with Alex. These are two different planes, like two different extremes of attachment styles that, unless you have done a lot of self-work, there's a lot of compromise. I don't think the other person is always going to feel some type of way. She goes on to mention that she wrote a letter to her parents telling them they would either have to choose drugs or choose her, and ultimately they chose the drugs, which that is really sad. And so we are going through one trauma story after another, and I wonder if she uses these stories to kind of manipulate situations. Like, I saw that he was kind of getting turned up about my attachment style, so let me rein him in using this story to kind of soften the blow. That's just my thought process. She talks like a person who is very self-aware, who understands, who knows what she's dealing with, but I wonder if she can put practice into play. So Madison and Mason, they have the same vibe as Dave and Molly. They don't know nothing about each other. She doesn't have the same deep conversations with him as she does with Alex. And Mason just seems to be all into the physical. And during this date, she just all of a sudden just bends over and says, I'm twerking against the facing the wall right now. And I was like, all right, girl, shake that monkey. I don't really know, like, what she is two completely different people. And I don't know. Back in the women's quarters, Meg is talking about Mason, and she finds out that Madison is also dating him. Meg and Mason, he also asked her about her Halloween costume, which is, he says that it's very important to him, and I'm just, is like, why? And Mason says that he really hasn't taken the time to think about what he's wanted in a partner, and that this experience has challenged him to do that. And I'm like, if you're on a show to get married, like, the end goal is marriage, how do you not know? So Meg expresses how she's scared that the person that she likes won't choose her in the end. And then Mason goes on to tell her, like, hey, I'm always confused when I leave out of our dates. And I'm like, brother, what? That wasn't a compliment. Anyways, Meg comes back to the quarters and she's like, y'all, the energy was very different. Something wasn't the same. Something in the buttermilk wasn't clean. And she knows that she is not his number one just because of how he expressed his confusion while they were on the date. And I low-key thought that she was talking real loud, but that could just be me. Anyways, we end this episode with the build-up and the anticipation of Joey and Monica's reveal. So If you made it this far into the video, please give me a thumbs up. Also subscribe to my channel, and let's get right into episode number 3. All right. So Joey and Monica, they finally meet, and they are just so giggly, y'all. It's cute, but very like, what up, bro? Like, what up, player? Like, there's nothing. Once again, I've been saying it this whole video. There's nothing romantic about it. They seem like they are besties for the resties. Since they are engaged, I will be very interested to see if we see anything romantic or physical that happens between them. Monica does reassure us that she is very attracted to Joey and she thinks he's cute. Joey tells us that he's been growing out his hair so he can donate it to charity, and it's like, Joey, could you get any better? Because you are all the things, all right? He asks if he can kiss her, and they do a real cute grandma kiss, like the mwah, mwah. And Joey says that is the best kiss he has ever had. Daniel and Taylor are on their date, and Taylor asks Daniel what has been the happiest moment in his life this past year, and he says it was getting the call to be on the show. And Taylor talks about how love has been all around her, but she never thought she would find it because it's never hit her pretty much. You know, at one point in my life, I was there too, so I get it, Taylor. You know, I understand 100%. Ben and Sarah are on their date, and the date wasn't interesting, so we're gonna go right on to Madison and Alex. So Madison says that she can tell that Alex is pulling back, and this has made her realize her feelings for him. She wants to show him that she cares, so she gives him with her Bearlian. It's like this bear alien stuffed animal thing. She also brings up attachment styles again, and they go back into this conversation, and she just tries to reassure him like, hey, I'm not the person I once was, and the door is open for you to voice your concerns. So he realizes that he is starting to bring past relationship traumas into what they're trying to build, and so they do this guided meditation. They talk about the stars, and it was just, you know, a really cute kind of laid back date. Alex comes out the pods and he's like laughing and bragging on the Bearlians, and it's just really cute how he's like, oh, look what I got. Madison says that she feels like she is connecting with Alex, but Mason says all the right things. I don't see that. I don't see where Mason is really saying much of anything that's not sexual, if you want me to be honest. Meg and Mason are on their date, and Meg is real straightforward. She's like, look, just tell me how it is. I felt the energy shift, and let's talk about it. And they start talking about aliens. Dave and Lauren are on their date, and Dave tells her that she is getting old. He really annoys me. He says that he can see himself proposing to her and feels like he is a completely different person in 3 days. He's afraid to show this side of him to the real world, which immediately tells me that when he gets off these pods, he's going to go back to who he was before he came in them. This man needs therapy and not a wife. Dave and Molly are on a date, and Molly reveals Dave is the only one she is talking to, and they talk about schedules and what life would look like outside the pods. So they talk about politics and religion, and they both agree they don't have to agree on every single thing. They discuss the possibility of their children coming out, and I really, as much flack as I give Dave, I do like Dave's response on how he just said, like, look, I'm just glad that they feel like we are a safe space and that they can come to us and tell us about, you know, what they're going through and what they're dealing with in their sexuality and this, that, and the other. Back at the ladies' quarters, the ladies build a fort, and Molly starts talking about how Dave told her she was his number one, and Lauren said immediately no. She blew Skidoo on out of there, okay? I didn't hear Dave tell Molly that she was his number one, but it could have been editing. I could have not been paying attention, but whatever the case may be, Lauren was not having it. Devin and Virginia says that she sees herself pregnant with a baby. So they're talking about what their future would look like. And so Virginia's like, I see myself pregnant with a baby on the hip, and Devin would be coaching varsity basketball. And Devin asks what makes him different from all the guys that she is dating. And the only thing that she says is that he's an amazing person. Devin tells her, like, they have to get deeper because he can't see himself proposing to her if she doesn't open up. And I think that's very mature of Devin to be self-aware to know, like, hey, if I don't know anything other than, you know, your favorite color and your favorite song, we can't get married. Devin and Brittany. Devin tells her that the guys in the pods have all said that he and Brittany would be a great match. Madison and Alex are on their date, and Madison tells him that she wants to focus on just them. So they do some rapid fire questions, and it's pretty boring, but you know, I sat through it. They were supposed to be having fun. It's supposed to be lighthearted, but Madison once again brings back the doom and gloom. She talks about how she dissociates from time to time, and so Alex in turn says like, hey, how can I help you when you're in that space? And she tells him there is nothing that he can do. So I feel like Alex is asking all the right questions because he wants to know how this is going to affect their future relationship. And I feel like Alex at this point is starting to realize that Madison has too much emotional baggage. He appears to be very emotionally aware, very emotionally stable, very demure, very mindful. And the way that she dumps on him is just really crazy because she doesn't dump on Mason that same way. So Alex just tells her point blank, like, I'm asking questions and I'm really trying to figure out if I can take on everything that you've gone through. And I honestly don't blame him. She has gone through a lot, but I don't think she's worked through a lot. And, you know, that could definitely be, you know, a problem in the future. I didn't watch Mason and Meg. However, I did catch the end where she was talking about how he never says I miss you back to whenever she tells him that she misses him. So Madison and Mason are on their date, and Madison is playing with Mason's head, in my opinion. That's just what I see. He is trying to open up to her, but like she's literally giving him nothing. And it's just so crazy because Alex knows her life story from the time she was potty trained to the time she learned how to drive a car. Like Alex knows it all, but Mason knows nothing. And like now I can see an effort of him trying to know more. So she tells him that she's never been broken up with, that she's always been the person to break up with. She's never been the break-e, she's always been the breaker. And she just respects herself too much to sit there and take things from people that she doesn't have to. She does mention that Alex, her other connection, which is Alex, affirms her, and she doesn't really get that with Mason. So Madison comes out of the pods and she is hyping up their date, trying to make it more than what it really is, and we end the episode there. Alright y'all, so that wraps up this video, episodes 1 through 3 of A Love is Blind season 8. Y'all, it was a struggle to get through watching these videos. Okay, these episodes have been so hard to watch. I'm about to go finish up 2 more episodes so I can come back and record them and just kind of keep this train going while I'm here. So please make sure you give me a big thumbs up. Drop down in the comments, tell me something good. Subscribe to my channel. Y'all. And don't forget to tell somebody, to tell somebody, to tell somebody else to come on over and enjoy Lovey with me. Thank you guys so very I can't even talk. I'm so stressed. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!
Yeah.